party started?
This meeting is being recorded.
Roll call will be handled by the Zoom login, so we're not gonna call clubs name by name. So can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Dan, and seconded by Chad. I assume all in favor, and that should carry. That's the easy part. May I also have a motion to adopt the minutes of the 2021 AGM? Kathy and Shauna, all in favor? Okay, not sure how many people reviewed them or reviewed them a while ago, but should be in good shape. So here we go, welcome. What a difference a year makes. I think, I'm Libby Smith, by the way, chair of the board of Alberta Alpine. At this time last year, we were facing uncertainties on how our season would unfold as we learned how to hold events again in and around COVID policies and restrictions that varied throughout our resorts and our regions. We welcomed ski racing back with a vengeance starting in November and going right through until almost the end of April, where the weather was colder than it is tonight. ROCs did a great job dusting off the cobwebs, and athletes from all age groups put on their race faces and we're back at it. Hats off to everyone. Coaches, program directors, volunteers, and athletes alike. It was a huge success. ROCs faced all kinds of last minute challenges and adapted on the fly. So well done all. We have a great community. Huge thanks also to our staff at Alberta Alpine, all of our coaches, Pat, Alid, Josh, Sane, for constantly adjusting schedules, dealing with the health authority, race venues, adjusted travel requirements, and everything else that was thrown at them. I'm happy to report that they're all still with us and looking to build on the great foundation that they've established. Pat is beginning his third season as president, Josh his second as athletic director, and this Saturday marks Alid's 10th anniversary with Alberta Alpine. So congratulations, Alid, and thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll also be congratulating Sane, as I think today is actually her due date, as she, from member services, as she welcomes her new baby. And Caitlin will be covering her maternity leave while she's off. I still have yet to meet Caitlin, but as an association, it's refreshing to be able to look beyond the pandemic, resume normal business operations. Like any other organization or business, the budget uncertainties are changing now that we've moved from pandemic into an inflationary environment. We're extremely fortunate, though, to have strong relationships with our largest sponsors, GMC, Carbon, Sporting Life, Raymond James, and of course, the Alberta Government and Parks Foundation. We're always looking for additional sponsors and donations to fund both current and future programs. This past year saw our membership increase approximately 20% from the previous year, exceeding both the 2019 and 2020 seasons. Shauna will present the financials shortly, but I'm happy to report that the very tight budget we were working with last year produced a slight surplus as a result of both careful management and increased membership, which gives us a strong foundation to build on regardless of what market forces are at play today. We've implemented a new registration system called RAMP, and we encourage all clubs to use it. We're still facing some startup challenges, but we anticipate that this will simplify registration for the clubs. Special thanks to Stephanie Johnson from the Lake Louise Club for being our local RAMP expert and her willingness to help with the implementation. The most important thing I want to touch on tonight in this little blurb is community. Alberta Alpine is the governing body of ski racing in the province and manages the high performance Alberta ski team. We respect and acknowledge the Indigenous people's ancestral and traditional lands in which we operate, and we respect each other. The association represents the whole community of ski racers and volunteers whose numbers this past year were 4,973 across all 38 clubs. Alberta Alpine is made up of all of you, the clubs, athletes, coaches, and volunteers. Our association will only be healthy if the clubs and the community are healthy. So we need to work together. Things work best when your Alpine chairs are participating in their respective North and South Zone meetings to ensure that you have a voice at the table and to hear what's happening both at the association and the other clubs. Pat and Josh both work hard to attend these meetings and communicate regularly to your Alpine chairs and the program directors. Please encourage your membership to sign up for the Inside Track so they can learn for themselves the latest about the Alberta ski team, the national team, and events in our community. These are just a few of the ways to make sure that you as members and clubs are helping the association be what you need and want it to be. It's all of ours, this association. It's not just the board and the staff of Alberta Alpine. I was privileged to attend races for most age groups last season, and I'm as amazed by the U8s and U10s as I am by the Alberta ski team. This is not a joke because I'm not a great skier. I think it's awesome to see athletes at every level challenge themselves to be their best. And as a province, we've had huge success at the high performance level and continue to punch above our weight, with Kiki Alexander from Sunshine being the latest Alberta athlete to join the national team. Yay, KP. The success that we see from Alberta ski team and the Canadian team found its beginning through strong grassroots programs at the club level, and we should all be very proud. As a board, we challenge ourselves to find stable funding for our whole organization to continue this success, and we'll look to the community for help. That is just the first of many of my pitches to come, but I also would like to thank, before passing this off to Shauna, I'd like to thank my fellow board members. Being a part of this board takes a significant commitment of time and energy, with problems and issues to deal with that sometimes aren't easy. I feel very proud to have been able to work with such a collaborative and supportive group of people who are interested in making this association stronger. It's been largely the same board for 2 years, and it's been an awesome group. I hope to see everybody at the Highest Peaks Gala on November 8th in support of the Alberta ski team. And with that, unless there's any questions, I'll pass the floor to Shauna Clark, the chair of the Audit and Governance Committee, to review the financials.
Thank you very much, Libby. And I completely echo your statements about the privilege it has been to serve with the board over the last 2 years. To say that the challenges that were faced by the organization were out of the ordinary would be an extreme understatement. And the team, Pat, Alid, Josh, everybody on staff, all the coaches across the organization dealt with those amazingly well. When I look at what COVID did to other sports, we're very fortunate to have the leadership that we did, the support of our provincial government to allow the support to continue. It's been a crazy couple of years. With that, thank you very much. As Libby said, I'm the chair of the Audit and Governance Committee. Other Audit and Governance Committee members include Greg Sylvester, Emily Chiletto, and Jeff Swanson. A lead has posted the financial statements in advance of the meeting, but what I'd like to do today is just generally comment on the audit process that was gone through to approve the financial statements. So we engaged Baker Tilly LLP to act as auditor on behalf of Alberta Alpine. The scope of the work completed by Baker Tilly is to obtain an understanding of the organization and its policies, procedures, and risks, and revisit that each year for new elements and any that are need to be updated or are obsolete. Baker Tilly reviews the preliminary financial data to assess the risks of any misstatement of fact that is considered to be material. They plan the audit in accordance to those risks and perform various tests to ensure that they have sufficient evidence that there's no misstatement. They worked very well with our management team. There were no disputes with management. They provided, Baker Tilly is saying they were provided access to all of the documents and information they needed to conduct the audit. In terms of the financial statements and the report produced by Baker Tilly, the report is the auditor's communication to the board on whether the financial statements are presented fairly. It outlines that the audit was completed in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for nonprofit organizations. It was again a very clean audit. There were 0 adjustments, no material errors, no issues, and no qualifications required. There is no fraud in the financial statements. The organization ran a balanced budget of $59,298 before factoring in COVID-19 assistance. And this year, the association had a surplus of revenue over expenses of $82,934, including those COVID subsidies. Just a few material statements on those facts. As Libby stated, there was an increase in membership this past year to 4,973 members over the previous year, which was 4,028. That obviously leads to increased fee revenue due to the general membership, as well as AST and ASXT fees. Race support revenue and expenses were up this year because of running the Lake Louise NORAM, so that also added to the surplus. Sponsorship revenue was up about $90,000 year over year as a result of $20,000 from Western GMC and $61,000 of value in kind as 3 donated vehicles, as well as donated team kit for the Alberta team from Carbon. Fundraising revenue and expenses also increased as there were 2 golf tournaments held in the fiscal year. Plus the gala was in person this year. And I'll throw a plug out again, Libby, that we hope to see everybody at that gala again in November. Athletes incurred some increased costs this year as a result of more races and more travel. And in terms of salaries and wages, there was an increase as a result of additional coaching staff this year. That's really all that we have for commentary on the budget and the financial statements. As I mentioned, they are posted on the website. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Libby.
Thank you, Shauna. We have a motion to approve the financials as presented. Dan, and someone to second? Charles and James, all in favor, or motion will be carried. With that, I'll pass the baton over to Pat if there's no questions for Shauna, I guess.
I just had, Libby, sort not to interfere with the motion or passing, just a couple of questions on the financials as passed. What would be Alberta Alpine's typical, a usual year of expenses if last year is close to a usual year and you have some history on that?
I would probably turn that.
Oh, sorry. 2 million.
Sorry, Kathy, did you hear the answer?
I'll just pause. There's just a couple of responses happening at the same time.
I'll let a lead answer this question and we'll all shut up at the same time here.
It is this year it was 2.3 million, and it's always around 2 million. Some years it's 1.9, this year it's 2, or last season was 2.3 because we had a substantially bigger ski team. This year the ski team is smaller, so I think we will go down.
Around the 2 is a typical seasonal expense. And just clarification, and I know it'll be on the financials online, but what's our total retained earnings at this point?
Over the last 30 or 40 years, it is...
Well, it would be on our balance sheet.
Yeah, like it is 500.
500K. Okay, so there's about 25% retained earnings against our typical expenses.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
I think it's time to hear from our president, Pat Gillespie.
Thanks, Libby. Evening, everyone. Thanks for attending the Alberta Alpine AGM. I hope everyone had a great summer and is ready for an awesome winter. As Libby noted, we did start the year off in a coded protocol. All our clubs, ROCs, ski hills, athletes, volunteers, they were all ready to make the most of that season. And then the AHS removed those protocols mid-season, which did allow us to operate a little bit more in a normal manner. Skiing was one of the only sports that maintained and in some cases grew their numbers. Has been noted, like compared to the previous season, we're at about 945 members, that's great. And we do expect to see a bit of an increase coming into this season. I did have the opportunity to visit or a number of the clubs in the province this past season, as did Josh. It was really impressive how engaged and enthusiastic all the athletes were. The coaching staff from all clubs were creating fun and exciting high-level training and racing experiences throughout the season and with their strong coaching staff. I want to thank all the ROCs, coaches, clubs, ski hills, all of the ASA members for all their hard work over this past year. It truly does show the strength of our community. As well, I want to thank our partners. Libby did touch on this, but I do want to make sure that GMC, the GMC Dealers of Alberta, Sporting Life, Mission Wealth Advisor, Raymond James, Carbon Ski Wear, Silvertip Golf, SPAR, and the Alberta government, along with the Calgary Parks Foundation, CSI, World Cup Supply, and Liskey, along with all of the donors that support all of our individual athletes, our camps, and of course, we can't forget our club ski hills. They all do their part. I do want to congratulate all of the athletes that made the Alberta ski team for this current season, as well as the group that have been asked to be part of the invitee group. We must congratulate Kiki for moving up to the Canadian ski team, joining our other Albertans, Britt, Cassidy. They make up a very young and strong female team. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun watching them this season. Say Sport is an ongoing program that we've been working with ACA on fine-tuning the program to work with each of our provinces. Say Sport is required to work and volunteer on FIS races in Alberta. And I strongly suggest that all members take this course. You can go to the ACA website, follow the links to the Say Sport course. Steve Harris, he is the managing person with ACA. Will help anyone that needs any guidance at all on the Safe Sport. Along with his group is also looking after the insurance. There has been a change in the insurance provider that ACA has been using. They have been looking at trying to make this change over the last couple of years and have found a provider that should meet all of our needs. I understand it's been a little bit of a bumpy road. I did see the very last policy, and it looks like it's covering mostly everything that we need. So I have asked them to print a one-pager, and we'll get that out to the club so everyone kind of understands what the insurance is. But it should work well for us. I would like to thank all the board of directors of Alberta Alpine, both past, present, for all their hard work. We look forward to working with the new board members for this coming season. I would like to introduce our strategic plan for 2023 to 27. I will make an attempt at sharing my screen, and or Libby, you'll have to save me here. Or if Libby can't, then let me see here. There we go. Sure. So can everyone see the the screen? Hello.
You're good, Pat. We can see it.
Thank you. So let me just give this back to where it belongs. Okay, so this is our strategic plan 2023-27. I do want to thank all of the committee members of the strategic plan that helped out with this. It took quite a while. So the Alberta Ski Association, our strategic plan, our mission is to develop and deliver the opportunities for individual growth, excellence, sports in the sport of racing and ski cross. We want skiing for life, sustainable programming, and leadership. Our vision: to lead, inspire, support all ages of athletes in world-leading programs in alpine and ski cross. We're inspiring skiers for life. And our values: innovation, inclusion, respect, retention, promotion, and excellence. Fun, safety, passionate, teamwork and leadership, and safe sport. The strategic plans are in our goals: to achieve athletic excellence in both athletic and coaching, to create, promote strong athletic programs across all age groups and categories of our membership, to strive to support each athlete, achieve their highest level of success, highest provincial representation on the national ski team, pretty close to that. Alberta ski team that is a representative of the highest performance level of in our membership. 3 in the top 10 in the NORAM races, 3 in the top 10 in the U16 championships, to inspire and attract and retain new members. Strategic plan of our strategic priorities: growth and visibility of our sport, a strong, modern, recognizable brand, comprehensive media plan to ensure visibility and consistent brand recognition, engage, lead, and grow our community, coach and athlete mentorship, engage our alumni, develop and support officials, succession and athletic retention, cultivate and organize excellence, and accountability. Strategic objects of achieve financial and sustainable growth, 2 new revenue streams by 2025, develop a long and consistent sustainable revenue model, and provide excellent value to our sponsors, increase the individual sponsorship and our donors. The measurables will be, the strategic object and the measurables will be reviewed based on our yearly Alberta business plan. This information will all be shared, obviously, on our website. Is there any questions at all? Well, if not, then again, I'd like to thank everyone for attending the AGM, and I'll turn this back to Libby.
Was having to wait for my dog to finish drinking. She's awfully noisy in the background. So I will quickly then pass it on to Josh Banjar, Athletic Director.
Thank you and welcome everyone. Lots of thanks have already been passed around, and Libby, thank you, and Pat and everyone, Shona as well. A lot of my side has been covered through the previous presentations, but just to rehash, we've really had an extraordinary year shifting out of COVID to a full-on race schedule. I'm super proud of what all you were able to accomplish, as this is truly your athletes, coaches, volunteers, and club success. We really had to bring this back as we as staff at Alberta Alpine and the board truly do serve you as a community. So this is really all of our success and truly your success. Over the season, just to do a quick recap, we had over 127 individual days of competition across all age groups, 16 coach education courses, 9 dedicated AASA events, and many more individual sessions that went on out on the hills. That's a lot to put together. So thank you. I believe we have accomplished our goals that we set out to in the uncertain times last year, and transitioning back to a more traditional schedule. This does not diminish any of the challenges that our sport faces currently in the world or the work that we have ahead, but we do have to celebrate our little successes and wins as we go through the seasons and through the years. So from my side of things, there's definitely a lot to learn from last season and to move forward. Some things on my plate that I think are moving forward we really need to focus on is continued coach education, supporting the athletic pipeline through innovative camps and initiatives, spreading our sport and stoke for the youth, increasing support for the clubs through social media, and supporting our member clubs and partners. Overall, this community has shown a true resiliency over COVID in the last years, and will continue to drive forward together to benefit our athletes, clubs, members, and communities. Mine's short and sweet. Back to you, Libby.
And the dog is still drinking. Next on the agenda is our nominations for new board members. We have a few positions to fill, four new members to vote on, and James Kuchera will take over as a member of the nomination committee, introduce you to our candidates.
Excellent. Thanks, Libby. So first, I'd like to recognize our board members that are stepping down. Those ones are Shauna Clark, Emily Shaletto, Kelly McBroom, Greg Sylvester, and Malik Levesque. All are stepping down. Well, there's one terming out, but others are mostly stepping down for personal reasons where time commitments don't allow the dedication needs anymore for being a board member. So we thank them for their service and all their contributions. And we look forward to announcing our new nominees. So before I do that, I'm to confirm with the rest of the members if there's any last minute nominations, floor nominations from the clubs. No? Okay, great. So on that note, what I'm going to do here is I'll first announce the nominees that were put forward by the board. And then I have, for logistical reasons, we figured it was easier for me to read their biographies than to pass the mic around. So first I'll announce them and then I'll go through their quick biographies. And for those of you that submit your biographies, I doctored them a little bit to make it easier for me to read. So apologies if it's not word for word. And we'll move forward with formally bring them on the board. So this year's board nominations were Daniel Jalbert, Jeff Swanson, Marian Uzda, and Chris Shield. So I'll start with Dan here, no particular order, just the way the emails came in. So Mr. Jalbert is a mechanical engineer from the University of Alberta and holds an executive MBA from the University of Calgary. He's a professional with over 24 years of executive and operating experience and brings a perspective from a wide variety of companies, large and small, from executive and leadership roles. Currently, Mr. Jalbert is CEO and director for Conifer Energy, president and CEO and director for Ericsson National Energy, and he is also founder and current director of both West 5 Resources and Road 53 Resources Incorporated. Prior thereto, Mr. Jalbert was contract COO for Vantage Point Resources, president COO of Grand Valley Resources, and vice president of engineering at NL Fisher Supervision Engineering. As a volunteer, Mr. Jalbert is always willing to give back to the associations and sports which he is a member. From 2009 to 2011, he was a director of finance for Water Ski and Wakeboard Alberta. And since 2015, he held numerous volunteer roles within the Alberta Alpine Ski Association and is the association's current president. Mr. Jalbert spends many weekends each winter as chief of course in various roles, not only with NASA clubs, but with all Alberta Alpine Ski Association club races. This past winter, Mr. Jalbert was dive guy and course crew for multiple races across the province and at the World Cup Ski Cross held in Akiska. He holds a CSIA level 1 and 2 and is a certified level 2 official with ACA. Next is from Jeffrey Swanson. So Jeffrey Swanson is a CPA, CA, with several years operating experience in the railway industry. Jeff is currently Director of Operations of Audit at Canadian Pacific, and previously held the finance function of a privately held railway contractor. Mr. Swanson started Alpine ski racing in 2013 with his young son at Sunshine Speeders when his son was 5. Since then, the Swanson family has fallen in love with the sport and all opportunities it provides. The Swanson spent 3 seasons with Whistler Mountain Ski Club before joining Sunshine Team last season. Mr. Swanson has several years of governance experience with not-for-profit entities, including the Predator Bay Water Ski Club and French International School of Vancouver. He looks forward to the opportunity to further the Alberta Alpine mission. So thank you, Jeff. Next, we have Marian Usda. So Marian is a senior legal counsel at Canadian Energy Regulator with 20 years experience in administrative law, regulatory law pertaining to pipelines and electricity transmission, and labor and employment law, amongst others. She has extensive experience as hearing counsel representing the regulator and public interest hearings at various levels of court, including the Federal Court of Appeal. She has a lifelong love of skiing and ski racing, including a mom of 3 skiers, 2 of whom race at U16 and FIS. Marian is an enthusiastic and long-standing board member of her daughter's ski team, which I believe is Canadian Alpine's ski team, if I'm not mistaken, or sorry, Calgary Alpine, where she has held the position of treasurer and president. Examples of her work on the board, including working with other board members to establish volunteer requirements for the ski team's parent community, serving as the club's representative at Alberta Alpine South Zone chair meetings, and working to develop, implement COVID policies during the pandemic. With a keen interest in governance excellence, she is currently working to update governance structure for the board to ensure that it best serves the needs of the club over the long term. So thank you, Marian. We look forward to having you on the board as well. And last, but certainly not least, Chris Shield. So Chris Shield is actually an Alberta ski team alumni circa 2007, a gentleman that I've enjoyed racing with for many years as well. Chris is excited for the opportunity to be considered for a role on the Alberta Alpine board. With many years of skiing experience in Alberta as an athlete, coach, parent, and volunteer, he is well prepared to serve this organization and contribute to the continued ski racing success in our province. Beyond Chris's direct involvement in the sport, he also has prior board experience, including Parks and Recreation Board activities, in addition to being a director and the eventual president of his local Chamber of Commerce. Chris loves to ski and he relishes any chance he has to get out on the slopes, but most of all, he feels very fortunate to have the privilege to share the love for the sport with others. On most winter weekends, you'll find him at Rabbit Hill skiing with his young children or taking family trips to their favorite mountains. And that's it. Is there a formal, should we make a motion?
And then the existing board members who are standing for re-election.
Oh, right. I did not have a list prepared for that.
We have Jeff Irwin, I believe.
Jeff Irwin, Dan Barry, Charles Gashadi. Then we have my
did we miss anybody, board members?
Chad is sitting. And then I think
I believe it's those 3.
Okay, perfect. Apologies for that.
That's okay. Since we have the right number of nominees for positions on the board had decided to maintain its size at 11. Could we just have a motion from the floor to accept these members as the new members of the board of Alberta Alpine?
Lake Louise puts a motion to accept the nominees.
May I have someone to second?
Yeah, a second from me, Libby. Luke Bertium.
Thanks, Luke. I think all in favor and motion carry unless I hear an objection. welcome. Thank you, James, and the nomination committee for your efforts. Not mentioned on that is we have a new South Zone chair of Paul Boskowicz from the Panorama Ski Club is taking on that appointed position. And Chad Mansell is taking over as the North Zone chair. Just a little aside. That concludes really the formal part of our evening. Is there any other business? And seriously, can anybody hear that dog drinking water? Every time I talk, she seems to go to her bowl.
Libby, it's Nicola. I have one quick question. Do we have a status update on the race calendar?
Over to Josh. I believe it's up on the website.
Yeah.
Up and final?
Yeah, race calendar is up and final on the website, and there's 2.5 events that still need to be placed in GSLs. That's Blizzard Blast, which should be staying close to where it is, but that all hinges on the Sunridge Ski Cross U12. That'll all be placed very soon.
Okay, thank you.
So in closing, I'd like to just reiterate James' comment and give a shout out to our retiring board members. It does, I don't want to scare anybody away who just signed up to be a board member, but it does take a little bit of time and energy and thought, and everybody does their best to contribute and where and how they can. And we're saying goodbye to actually 5 awesome people from our board who obviously not saying goodbye from the community, and I know that they're going to continue to support us, and it's been great. Monique Levesque, who is stepping down as the North Zone chair. Greg Sylvester, who timed out after 6 years, did just about every role, including, stepping in as chair in the middle of a season from vice chair, and then a season as chair, and many years on the Audit and Governance Committee. Emily Chiletto, who has been also on about every committee that we've had. Kelly McBroom for bringing her experience and energy on the high performance side, and always looking to approach a problem in a unique way. We'll miss the energy and creativity that comes from her. And Shauna Clark, who's financially so smart and full of ideas and stable, and just always solid in providing great direction, and led the Audit and Governance Committee, as well as the Alberta Alpine Ski Foundation, which is it's a fund that we are trying to build up to offer stability for the future of the organization. So thank you, all of you. We will have belt buckles, Alberta Alpine belt buckles, to be delivered to you, of course, at the gala on November 8th. So with that, may I have a motion to adjourn? Dan and James? I say motion to adjourn, but could I keep the newly elected and current board members on for a few minutes? Because I like to use up every minute that we have on a calendar.
Thank you, Libby.
All right. Thanks for coming, everyone.